Good day, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. On today's interpersonal communication course, I would like to explain one of my resume of Ibu Suciati's book titled Komunikasi Interpersonal. Ya. And on this very session, I would like to discuss it with you, interpersonal communication between parents and children. I would like to begin by explaining function of family. I have several function of family presented in 3 slides. On this first slide, I would like to explain 2 functions of family. The first and the very beginning function of family is to initiate process of familiarization to children. Yeah, family, most of all, is to prepare children to face the upcoming events or upcoming challenge on their lives. Yeah. This initiation process are done by providing care and undergoing socialization process. Socialization also could be understood as familiarization to familiarize children of the family values. Yeah. So children would learn something from their parents. As I've stated in this slide, I'm focusing on nuclear family. Nuclear family is the smallest unit of a family. It consists of father, mother, and children. So the purpose of family, basically, and most of all, to transform value from parents to children. So the children could get used to this value and carried out this value on their life. For example, of this initiation process, I would like to explain from this scheme or diagram. Yeah, in front of you, we have society, organization, and individual that would become the environment of communication of the children, of a child. Yeah. First, in family, children enhance their individual communication competence that consists of values that transform from their parents to them, so they can develop certain ability to react in any other in various kinds of situation that they would be respond on. And on this family level, individual or a child could also learn about society values that implemented widely in social institutions such as society itself. And one day, if the child has grown and into fully formed human, yeah, so they can contribute in society by becoming a professional. They would also learn something new from their organization where they work. One of them is the corporate cultures and also the corporate structures. A person would carry out the value that they learn from their family, from their society, into this organizational environment where they work. It also operates the other way around, where children implement the value that they learn from their family and the value that they learn from their organization into much wider environment, much larger environment, and those are the society. So basically, in general sense, family, organization, and society, it affects each other. Yeah. And before I can come forward to explaining about the function of family, the next function of the family, I would like to explain it to you. We have several forms of family. We have three. The first one is the nuclear family. As you can see in front of you is quite popular family on our television drama. Yeah. We have a father, a mother, and a kid as their children. The second form of family is next of kin. It is the nearest blood relation or the nearest relative. They could be your uncle, your auntie. They are the siblings of your father or your mother. It could also be your grandparents, oma, opa, kakek nenek. They are the parents of your mom or your dad. Yeah. These are the second forms of family. And the last one is big family. You can check it through your WhatsApp group of your big family. It usually consists starting from your great great grandparents, or in Indonesia, moyang, buyut. Yeah. So it started from there, to your grandparents, to your parents, to you. And one day, when you're becoming your parents, you have your own kid, and it goes on until it forms big families. It consists of several of households, yeah, and probably consists of several more families. As you can see here, we have the family tree of Thailand royalties. Yeah, it started from the already passed King Bhumibol, and he had four children. One of them became his successor. He is King Vajiralongkorn. Yeah, and from this you can see that he had several spouses. Yeah, from each partner he had several children. So this is quite big family. Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to explain much further about family function. The second function is adaptability process. So in this process, children acquire beliefs transformed from their parents. These beliefs also consist of familial values, yeah? The values that are developed within the family. And from that point, children can also implement the behaviors that are considered necessary or appropriate by the older member of the family. So it almost like a confirmation process. The children would test the water, whether they are able to do so or the other way around, according to the elder member of family recommendation. So in this process, children mostly hear, yes, you can do that, or no, you cannot do that. It's a confirmation and adaptability process. And the last function of family, family provide you with value transformation. So this value transformation is carried out within generations. Yeah. So your parents would acquire values from their parents, and you acquiring the familial values from your parents, and you would pass it down to your kid, and that will become the next generation of your family. Okay. This transformation of values generally affected by communication style of each participant of communication. The communication style affected by the intonation or tone of communication and the communicational manners, how we conduct each value with our own belief and implement it to real or physical action. Yeah. Usually we can see it in how someone would react to problem or situation in front of him or her. Yeah. Yeah. The communication style could also understood as these three parts. The first one, the child would learn communication style from their surroundings, from their peers, from their teachers, and from their parents. Uh, Usually they identify it by recognizing repetitional pattern of their interaction to their surroundings, from their home and from their school. And the next one, as they comprehend it connectively, cognitively, yeah, they would maintain those cognitive memories. They would develop certain kind of pattern, yeah, communicational pattern that they learn from their surroundings cognitively and effectively. So the second aspect would involve cognitive aspect and affective aspect of children. From that, the children or the child itself could develop some kind of a structured interpersonal interaction based on their experience. Yeah. So they would understand which action is allowed and the other action that is not allowed. This aspect of cognitive and affective would shape child's personality. So they would develop some kind of manners and attitude to respond and understand certain situation in their life, yeah, whether it is happening now or it is happening in the future. So the child would develop sense of priority skill or skala prioritas in early age. Which one is important, which one is not quite important, so they would react appropriately according to the situation that they deal with. For example, in this condition occur in your family, yeah, usually mealtime with your father and your mother and your siblings, where your parents would encourage you to eat vegetables, but physiologically, physically, biologically, your body and your mind is not designed to enjoy vegetables. So you probably came up with two reactions. The first is eat the veggie, but you did not like it, you do not like it, and you simply did not eat the vegetable, yeah, because at this early age, children are not usually designed to enjoy vegetable. That's why your parents become the dominant part of this interaction. It's really up to your parents to expose you with how to enjoy vegetable. Yeah. The second example is specifically, you can see it in this pandemic era. Yeah. Kids usually encouraged to wash their hand frequently and use face masks, but you or your parents probably will have to answer to this certain kind of questions. Why do we have to wear face masks, or why do we have to wash our hands frequently? Uh, because in the past era or in the past years, we did not have to do that. Why is different now? Why we have to do so? And what is the benefit of our action? Usually parents will have to deal with some kind of this question. Okay, that would be the example. And the next one, I would like to explain the family communication. Communicational pattern in the family. We have two here, the socially oriented communication and the concept-oriented communication. The socially oriented communication is focusing on harmony relationship between the member of a family to build pleasant interaction in the family. So it usually happen in the regions of eastern region countries, for example, in our country, in China, in Southeast Asia, probably in the most of Asia, yeah, where in this big family, we are focusing to build harmony interaction. So it's usually happen in collective culture, collective culture, and not happening in the individual culture. The opposite of that is the concept-oriented communication that focusing on children to develop their own consideration for problem solving. Yeah. Usually mostly happen in the Western region hemisphere or Western region country, where they are focusing in much more individualistic rather than collective culture. For example, it happens in the US, in the Europe regions countries. Generally, we would acknowledge four family communication patterns. The first is laissez-faire. You can correct me if I pronounce it wrong. Yeah, hopefully not. It, it is a concept-oriented communication. Concept-oriented, so it have tendency to the individualistic communication. The second one is protective, social-oriented communication. It has tendency for collective culture or collective communication that focusing on a big family or big group of relatives. The third one is pluralistic, which focusing in open communication. So each participant of communication can contribute fairly to state their feelings, their emotion, their mindset. And the fourth is consensual. Consensual meaning is balance between socially oriented communication and concept oriented communication. So it has regards with the collective culture and also the individualistic culture. We have here several factors that affecting parent-child communication patterns. The first is interpersonal needs. Is our needs for affection, compassion, kasih sayang, recognition or pengakuan, and control or kendali. If we are focusing on the control, we have to discuss about the power relation, hubungan kekuasaan antara masing-masing partisipan komunikasi. So if the power is relying on the parents, the children would become dependents. But if it is the power lies on the middle of the parent and the children would develop a sense of independence. Yeah. But sometimes the power is rely on the children itself. So the children would become too independent. Yeah. This power relation also affecting the dynamics of communication, whether it could be symmetric, right in the middle, or asymmetric. It has tendency in one of the participant communication. It's recommended to be balanced, where the parents and the children could contribute fairly to form their interpersonal communication. And the last aspect is interpersonal conflict. Interpersonal conflict usually in the form of incompatibility, incompatibility between parents and children that would affect the dynamics of the communication. So it would be symmetric or asymmetric. And interpersonal conflict would quite difficult to resolve if each participant communication develop their personal boundary. It could be also understood as personal theory. When each participant develop their personal boundaries, so they have tendency of not willing to discuss or negotiate or compromise. Yeah, they would tend to their own beliefs. Yeah, and not open to discussion. That's why the interpersonal conflict would quite difficult to resolve. And to resolve the interpersonal conflict much more easily, yeah, we have to eradicate or eliminate the personal boundaries so we are willing to discuss. That is the most appropriate way to resolve interpersonal conflict. So we can have understanding of each other. Yeah. Uh, Here I have several factors that affecting parents and children relations. Maybe some of them already I've mentioned before, like for example, the acceptance and rejection. Acceptance and rejection could also affecting the interpersonal conflict. The more we accept, the easier the interpersonal conflict to resolve. And the more we reject, it's a lot. It would be a lot harder the interpersonal conflict to be resolved. And of course, parents and children, they have difference of interests. Yeah. For example, my parents, they would like to discuss about political manners. I would not develop my interest in that area. Geographical distance, for instance, you are living here in Yogyakarta while your parents are outside of Yogyakarta, whether it's in other city or probably in other island, other provincial area. Yeah. So both of you have to explain what is happening around you for them to understand each other much more. The difference of atmosphere of communication and also could affecting the parents and children relation. So first we have to do, or the easiest way to break the ice is to joke around a bit. Yeah, you can joke around with your parents, and after the ice is breaking, the atmosphere is warmed up, and insinuate the objective of your communication, the objective for you to call them or their objective to call you. The relation itself could also affected by stereotype, especially stereotype about old age. Sometimes we underappreciating of our parenting. If you heard this uh, expression, yeah, we are busy to grow up, and sometimes we are forgetting that our parents are growing old. So we need to meet in the middle. We are growing up, but we also have a consideration that they are growing old, and someday they will be needing of our assistance. Yeah, they can when they cannot take care of themselves. So we need to come forward to take care of them in return. The fourth aspect is attachment theory. Sometimes we find or we found that several parents are not wired, not accommodate to have their kid live far from them. So because the they need to provide their kid regularly or daily. Jadi misalnya nih, ada juga orang tua yang merasa dibutuhkan atau merasa eksis kalau bisa memenuhi setiap keinginan anak. Makanya kadang-kadang kita menemukan ada orang tua itu yang tidak mau tinggal berjauhan dengan anaknya. Misalnya katakanlah beda kota, masih di kabupaten atau wilayah yang sama. Karena memang ini teori keterikatan atau attachment teori itu bisa berlaku sedemikian rupa. Nah, ini kadang-kadang ada sisi positif, ada sisi negatifnya juga. Sisi positifnya adalah ya kita bisa tahu keadaan satu sama lain karena kita tinggal di area yang sama, katakanlah. Negatifnya adalah masing-masing dari kita itu tidak bisa mengembangkan kemandirian. So we have high dependence on each other. The parents are always or constantly needing their children, and the other way around, the children always or constantly needing their parents. Jadi ini sehat nggak sehat nih? Perlu ada kompromi di sini. Sih sebaiknya seperti apa? Menurut Hein, the parents-children relations most of all are affected by interaction. The form of interaction, how we conduct the interaction. The second is the mutual contribution. The more we meet in the middle, the more the parents and children could discuss, could compromise, it will be healthier for their interactions. That is called with mutual contribution. So the parents and the children are mutually contributed in their relation. Related to this, we, as each of us become the participant of communication, we need to develop our own uniqueness. For example, your parents would like to talk to you in the softer tone, to soothe you, but you tend to develop your own tone of communication. Probably you generally develop the direct communication. Jadi masing-masing di sini, masing-masing partisipan komunikasi itu bisa mengimplementasikan kekhasannya sendiri-sendiri. Misalnya orang tua Mbak Mas lebih suka berbicara dengan nada yang pelan supaya anaknya bisa memahami, sementara Mbak Mas lebih suka berbicara dengan gaya komunikasi yang langsung direct gitu. Jadi ya kalau keduanya bisa mengakomodasi maka antara orang tua dan anak ini bisa baik-baik saja nggak baper atau bisa menerima segala sesuatunya dengan sebagaimana mestinya. And sometimes we develop our own expectation. The higher of our expectation is usually it gets a lot easier for us to get disappointed, Kadang-kadang kita juga mengembangkan ekspektasi kita sendiri. Nah, kalau ada kata atau pepatah, semakin tinggi pohon, semakin kencang anginnya. Semakin tinggi pengharapan kita, maka ada kemungkinan kita semakin mudah untuk dikecewakan atau kita merasa kecewa dengan reaksi orang lain. Makanya di sini harus dikelola secara logik supaya ekspektasi itu tidak terlalu rendah, tidak terlalu tinggi, masuk akal. Ekspektasi itu juga berhubungan dengan anticipation of the future, certain kind of our reaction in our mind to predict the uncertain situation. Misalnya kita menghadapi sesuatu atau situasi yang belum kita bisa prediksi hasilnya seperti apa. Maka kadang-kadang dalam pikiran kita itu kita mengembangkan skenario-skenario yang mungkin bisa terjadi di situasi yang nantinya kita akan hadapi. Biasanya ini ada di suatu masa di masa depan gitu ya. Nah, kadang-kadang antisipasi ini juga bikin kita capek ya. Karena kita memainkan beberapa skenario ya. Kalau gini outputnya gimana? What if skenario ya. Itu lebih membutuhkan energi daripada kita menjalaninya tanpa kita mengharapkan sesuatu atau tanpa kita mempersiapkan skenario-nya. Jadi ini semua perlu dikelola secara logis supaya kita juga tidak terbebani, orang lain juga mendapatkan benefit atau manfaat atau dampak yang positif dari komunikasi antar pribadi. Nah, generally, from Ibu Suci Books, Ibu Suci's book ya, komunikasi interpersonal. Ini bukunya ya, kalau Mbak Mas sudah punya. We have 3 styles of communication, the assertive style or the balanced style, where each participant of communication could express themselves and express their self-dignity, yeah, ethically, without, I'm sorry, I have typo here, without breaking others' rights, ya. Jadi komunikasi secara asertif itu masing-masing partisipan bisa mengekspresikan dirinya sendiri dan bagaimana cara dia memvaluasi dirinya itu secara etis ke orang yang diajak berkomunikasi tanpa melanggar hak orang lain. Intinya sih di sini. Nah, the non-assertive and aggressive style, it's connected one to another. Yeah, if the parents are dominant, so the kid would tend to be inferior. Yeah, the kid or the children would fear or hesitate to show themselves or to express themselves because their parents are dominant. Yeah, the parents and the children itself could not develop balanced styles of communication, could not meet in the middle, could not discuss, could not negotiate, could not compromise. So it would affect negatively each other, yeah, whether for the parents or the children. So the recommended communication style is, of course, the assertive style or the balanced style. So both of you are meeting in the middle. Yeah. So you have appropriate consideration of your needs and others' needs. Yeah. You could understand each other, you can develop yourself fairly, and you can contribute appropriately within your communication process. The last material of this session is in the Western interpersonal context. They have or they are recognizing for style of communication the passive aggressive, and assertive. Yeah, like I've said earlier, we are relying on the assertive communication style because it is the most balanced of all. It has the minimum damage or minimum negative impact, yeah, compared to the other communication styles. I think that would be all for our today's session, and hopefully I will be seeing you in our upcoming session. Thank you all for joining me today. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.